representatives of state institutions, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you on behalf of the closing panel, whereat we are going to discuss regional commitments made by governments and also CSOs in order to enhance the implementation of OGP priorities and commitments. Today with us we will have Mr. Nicola Bertolini on behalf of the European Commission, and we will also have our representatives of partnering organizations which are jointly implementing the EU-funded project called Advocacy for Open Government, which also aims to strengthen commitments made by Western Balkan countries to implement OGP priorities and OGP commitments. At the very beginning, I would like to invite Mr. Bertolini to tell us something about the plans of the European Commission and the commitments made to enhance the priorities of the OGP initiative. Mr. Bertolini, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I understand that the conference was very successful and you have a lot of ideas that will soon be concretized into actions. From DG NEAR, we are supporting very much this process of open spaces for government and civil society to discuss, to dialogue, to find new ways to implement policy reforms. This is a process that we started already years ago, and the elaboration, the common elaboration of a strategic document called EU Guidelines for the Support of Civil Society in the Western Balkans and Turkey was the principal moment in which we realized that our systems and our policy dialogue with the governments should have some meaningful set of objectives, results, and indicators. With our systems, we are following these results. We are aiming at obtaining all of these results in all the Western Balkans and Turkey. And we are doing so also together with civil society. So we have an yearly monitoring of the guidelines, of the indicators, and the two main objectives, which are the enabling environment and the capacity building of civil society, are put forward and are measured and are inspiration for all of us to use more and more funds. From 2007 to 2013, the instrument for pre-accession had an average of 1.5% of all resources devoted to civil society. The 2014-2020 period looks that we are going to more than double this amount. And this is not because we found out that we were doing too little, but because we have a principal strategy behind and we know where we want to go. As part of a civil society regional arms, we also support regional networks, and Advocacy for Open Government Partnership is one of these. And we are very glad to be here and to listen that there are a lot of advancement in this respect. Every effort directed towards opening space for interactions between civil society and governments is welcome. We did so. We have pushed all the governments in this region to have a National Council for Civil Society, to have strategies, to implement these strategies. But also we look at voluntarism, we look at the fiscal environment, we look at how the governments are channeling funds towards civil society. And this is just a part of what we are doing. Now, I think in 2015 is the moment we have to analyze the impact of what we are doing, and we will do next year, in the sense that opening all these spaces is the right thing to do, but we should be careful not to overdo. What I mean by that? I mean that Coming from a situation in which there were almost no spaces, consultation for policies and legislation was very seldom or not structured. Going towards a phase in which there are different spaces open, it might create also confusion. Somebody said that confusion is the start of a solution, and we agree on this, but we have to be careful that also for these countries the EU integration process has a very important role to play. Serbia, Montenegro are already inviting, using civil society organization to be part of this process, and we, the European Commission, we are very happy. But then it could become too many meetings, too many dialogues, too many structures, and so the different structures we open could become a burden for everybody, from the government and the civil society. What I'm here proposing is that, also thinking that we are entering into the last year of our funding to the advocacy for open government, we have really to make an effort in coordinating very much in terms of mechanisms open, in terms of functions and roles. Because one risk that we already see, as all these countries are very good to approve new legislation, but are less efficient in implementing these legislations, we hope that the mechanism open will be very much coordinated and bring also valuable results. One of the indicators we measure in our guidelines is how effectively the dialogue between civil society and governments is held in all these countries. So I hope really, thanking all the efforts you are making and inviting you to be more and more proactive in this, but not forgetting the need to have a very good coordination, because the road is still far, is still long. Councils for civil society are open only in few of these countries. The others are already announcing, are already stepping forward, but we need that these councils are not empty meetings in which everybody says something, but nobody is taking actions after. So thank you very much, and the European Commission has been and will be supporting all these efforts. Thank you.
Mr. Bertolini, thank you for this supporting and positive speech, and also for the support the European Union has given to the implementation of this project. Now I would like to invite partners to the Advocacy for Open Government project this regional OGP Dialogue forum is part of, to reflect briefly on the importance of regional commitment for the implementation of OGP initiative. So what have inspired you as organizations and also as individuals to launch this project and to work on it? And also, what do you think the main perspectives and the main advantages but also obstacles of this regional commitment are ahead of us, especially when having in mind the ongoing process of European integration in the region? Please, we will start with Nicola.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for inviting me to this panel. I think the pretty much reasons why we should turn to regional approach are pretty much obvious. The same reasons are why civil society are also forming coalitions and informal networks. It's actually an excellent opportunity to share knowledge, to share good practices, but maybe also failures, because I know yesterday morning someone mentioned that maybe sometimes we talk about even about bad practices. Although I'm aware of that, the failures are, no one is really willing to admit failure. I remember, just to give you a brief overview, Bosnia joined the OGP initiative last year in September, but after that nothing actually really happened, since there was not a coordinating body named or any kind of action plan drafted. But I remember one of the first meetings when what we had after joining the initiative with the public institutions, when we talked about what are the next steps and what are going to be the obligations of the public institutions. And they said, well, can you provide us with examples and can you tell us how the other countries have managed this process? What were the models, what were the approaches, what were the principles? And it was always really useful to invite people from other countries to join these meetings. So we often call our colleagues from Croatia and Macedonia to give us some kind of information and also talk about problems in implementation, but also the concepts and the models. So I think the regional approach is very much important in terms of sharing experience and cooperating. Yes, OGP is a new thing. It's not always perfect, but there are also good initiatives and they can be in a way replicated. Of course, there are also obstacles, especially when I come from Bosnia and it's a highly decentralized country and some of the initiatives and activities that have been undertaken in other countries cannot be just copied in our own environment. But I said, there are good examples and they can be used, or maybe you can just see what other countries are doing and be inspired.
Thank you, Nicola, for emphasizing this importance and value of the peer-to-peer learning. I would like to invite my colleague Tirana from the ANALITIKA, who is the responsible organization for setting up this regional event. Please.
Thank you, Maria. As Maria said, being one of the... Thank you, Maria. As Maria said, because of these 2 days, I was mostly focusing on the organization of this event, and I was going into all of the sessions just to make sure everything was right. And one thing that really got my eye was people nodding at each other's experiences, people sharing experiences, people keeping notes. Who is the person? Let's connect. Let's do something together. So I think that the need for the regional cooperation could be easily seen in these 2 days that we had all together. We do face same challenges, but we also do have same opportunities ahead, as Mr. Nicola Bertolini mentioned it, our road to European integration. I would like to thank all my colleagues for jumping into this idea of having something concrete that will unite us as civil society organizations, but also in cooperation with our respective governments to work towards establishing well-defined but also functioning forums of civil society and government dialogue with the main goal of a good governance for all our countries. Thank you.
I would like to invite Ms. Tirana from the left.
Thank you, Maria. I won't repeat what my colleagues said, but then again we go back to the learning experience of regional events. I think it's good because both CSOs and government representatives usually in their mutual meetings back home tend to adopt a defense and attack approach. And then when we come here and we hear that government representatives from other countries have the same problems like government representatives in our countries, and that CSOs are dealing with the same issues as everywhere in the region, then we understand that we're not alone in this, and it's kind of a more relaxed atmosphere, and through dialogue we can reach some potential solutions. But also to go back to the theme of this conference, which is not just open government, but also engaged citizens. I think it's good that we regionally discuss on how to spread this idea of OGP more to our citizens, because I don't think they're aware enough of what it is and the potential it offers. So it's usually a closed-up idea among government and CSOs, but I think we need to engage citizens more so that they know what it offers and how to work towards achieving some of the principles.
Thank you, Irina. Now we have a colleague from RIINVEST.
First of all, thank you for inviting me. Promoting good governance by employing a regional level approach is an initiative that should be endorsed by every country. especially bearing in mind that the Western Balkan countries have many similarities when it comes to the governance challenges. So having a framework of cooperation would create synergies that would not only advance the OGP agenda or platform, but will also play a great role in strengthening democracy in these countries. From my experience in our country, any initiative that has a broader scope involving many countries is taken more seriously by our government. That being said, I very much welcome this initiative of cooperation and think that it will help us to become more prosperous and at the same time will improve the overall well-being of our citizens as a result. And at the same time, it will help these countries to speed up the accession process in the European Union. So basically, it will help these countries to come closer to the Western world. RIINVEST, the institution that I represent here, with all the resources that it has at its disposal, will support this initiative of cooperation amongst Western Balkan countries.
Thank you for emphasizing the importance of involving multi-stakeholder groups, and that is exactly what we're going to do within this Democracy for Open Government project, through national debates, national and also regional forums, through support to implement and amend, if needed, action plans, country action plans on OGP. This is only part of the things that we are going to do, and we will do it transparently, and we'll share all the outcomes with the public. Now let me please read a 4-point commitment made by the Western Balkan governments on this occasion, on the occasion of this Western Balkan OGP Dialogue Forum. And I need to say that this is a result of the cooperative efforts of all people being involved in the organization of this forum, meaning CSOs, but also government representatives who have taken part in this event. The Open Government Partnership, launched in 2011 to foster a more open and accountable government, more responsive to citizens, is an increasingly important initiative for the countries of the Western Balkans, going hand in hand with the reforms embarked upon in the EU accession process. The governments of the Western Balkans have come together on the occasion of the Western Balkans OGP Dialogue 2015 in Tirana, Albania, on 10 to 11 September 2015, when they made the 4 commitments outlined below to establish a permanent Western Balkan OGP Dialogue Forum. First, the governments will join with civil society to embark upon a concerted public awareness campaign to explain to citizens the objectives of the OGP initiative, the commitments made by each government, and the necessity of engagement with citizens to realize the stated goals of responsive and open government. The OGP action plans are important expressions of commitment, and the governments will work with civil society to ensure that they include targets for policy reforms that can be verified against clear performance indicators. The governments of the Western Balkans are making a commitment to cooperation in sharing standards in open data and in promoting innovative practices all across the countries. The governments will cooperate to strengthen best practices in public accountability and to raise the quality of policy making through the availability of high-quality data accessible across departments, regions and sectors. To sustain this cooperation, the governments are joining together in a regional commitment to establish a permanent Western Balkan OGP Dialogue Forum to enable regular multi-stakeholder consultations on OGP action plan implementation. The OGP Dialogue Forum will include a formalized network of government OGP contact persons from all Western Balkan countries who will work closely together, engage with civil society, share knowledge and experience of designing and implementing action plans, and above all, they will also share experience of active citizens' engagement, both in shaping OGP commitments and monitoring and evaluating their implementation. A key area of innovation will be greater citizens' engagement in the success of the OGP initiative, including strengthening mechanisms for engagement of a wider public, both expert and non-expert, in the process of drafting and review of policies and legislation, and transformation of country budgets into easily comprehensible citizens' budget. Other innovations will include standardization of complaint procedures related to corruption and the publication of key data on public service delivery. This is a 4-point commitment, as I said, made by the Western Balkan governments and also CSOs involved in this process. But we also have an initiative to add a few points to this very important commitment, and I would now like to invite Mr. Zoran Ivančić to make a statement and what is a proposal to be added to this regional commitment.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Zoran Ivančić. I'm from CEDEM Foundation from Sarajevo, and I have some recent experience with dealing with refugee crisis, and I have a vast experience from the 90s working in this region, in this field. And I think that what I will propose now will help not only final beneficiaries, but also to OGP movement to show that we can be on top of the things and we can contribute to solving the problems that are going on and that are of urgent matter. So I proposed it this morning of lightning conversation, where Bosnia, Kosovo and Croatia participated, all the countries that can relate to the refugee problems because of their recent history. So Open Government Partnership community gathered in Tirana invites governments and civil society organizations of OGP member countries that experience immigration or transition of refugees to act upon that humanitarian and human rights crisis in the spirit of proactive openness. We propose that every country creates a special info site dedicated to this issue that will aggregate all related data for refugees, activists and state employees that all can benefit from. Namely, articles from the laws and regulations that deal with refugee rights, immigration rights, unaccompanied children issue, social and health protection, trafficking prevention, alongside with a comprehensive list of contacts for governmental and civil society services that provide assistance or protection. Site should also include all relevant articles from international declarations, conventions and treaties. Site should be in English, local language and in languages of refugee population, and should be appropriately promoted and advertised. In Tirana, September 11th. So, that's my proposal. I don't know procedure, how to...
Well, we will have a panel of government representatives just now, so they may comment individually on your proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this valuable contribution, which comes at a good time, having in mind the recent migration challenges the European Union itself and the Western Balkan region are facing. I would now like to thank all the panelists for these contributions to the panel, and would like to pass to Mr. Vita Ruda, who will be moderating the next panel gathering representatives of the governments from the region. Thank you once again.
Welcome to all government representatives. I am glad to see you all here with the opportunity to react to the events of the past 2 days. And I would like to pose the first question to each of you. The Open Government Partnership is, of course, a set of commitments that you as national governments have made. Commitments made before civil society, with civil society, to improve your governments. It's part of the process towards the EU. It has a lot of significance. Why do you feel that moving along this road with each other in a regional framework is a good idea for you and your aims. Perhaps you can start with Julia.
First of all, I want to express really great pleasure to be part of this conference. And at the end, I can say that commitment and conclusion that we heard before is in this vision that we are supposed to share together, open government and engage citizens. With additional fifth commitment, which maybe could change with this title, engaged government and engaged citizens could solve this big problem. And I support this five commitment and conclusion because I think to propose something like that, but Mr. Ivanišević already did it, and that's very good. Of course, how to achieve this goal in this conference, after this conference, I think we have to make joint efforts to foster this process, and I think this is very important because today I think the citizens is a little bit frustrated, you know. They feel like we are part of that democratic process and feel like their role finished after the elections and polls. And the OGP concept I think is a really good medicine, I can say, and solution to solve that frustration and to find a new way of new dialogue between governments and civil society. And yesterday we agree about that OGP is a very strong tool to improve that dialogue, to improve transparency, to improve security and stability, not only in our country, in all regions. That would be a strong tool for economic growth and better living standards, of course. And we heard yesterday so many good ideas, as previous speakers said, and very good examples of best experience. And I'm sure that in the next period we'll get much more good ideas along that road, as you said. And it's important to share that ideas and discuss about that. And I'm convinced that this process and this cooperation through the Western Balkan Dialogue Forum brings benefits to everyone, to our societies, to make a better society, to our young democracies, I can say. And I'm here to express our readiness to be active part and of course support for the Western Balkan Dialogue Forum, and to further work together on these changes in the Balkans. Thank you.
Thank you. I will pass the floor to Mr. Gashi.
Okay, sorry.
Welcome.
Delegation. Natyrisht do të kisha ndërlir atë që këtë dy konference vlerësoj se nga hapja e konferencës së këndej, me qenë në fjalën e hapjes. Në emër të Kosovës ne paraqitëm sfidat dhe vështirësitë që Kosova tani nuk është antare e OGP-s dhe aktivitetet e saj që po përpiqemi që të realizojmë objektivat për antarësimin e Kosovës. Mund ta them me fuqishëm se gjatë këtyre 2 ditëve Kosova u ndi pjesë e OGP-s dhe bashkëpunimi për krahja dhe koordinimi të gjitha aktiviteteve, shkëmbimi i përvojave këtu në këtë konferencë vërtet dëshmoj se ne mund të jemi pjesë e angazhimeve të përbashkëta rajonale. Aktivitetet që në Kosovë ndërmerren për koordinimin e dyrave që dalin nga OGP-ja bashkë me shoqërinë civile dhe angazhimi i qytetarëve domosdoshmërisht krijojnë një ambient dhe një mjetëri shumë të mirë për realizuar nisma të përbashkëta rajonale. OGP-ja është vetë mjeti dhe mundësia që vërtet të realizojnë një qëllim të përbashkët. Natyrisht, duke shkëmbyr përvoja, duke dhënë kontributin tonë, ne të përpiqemi që bashkë me vendet e rajonit, që pam në këtë konferencë, prezentimet nga Shqipëria, Maqedonia, Serbia, Bosnia, vërtet pam përvoja dhe eksperiencat të mira që besoj se do t'jenë në shërbim të kontributit tonë të përbashkët drejt inkuadrimit në nismën globale Open Government Partnership. Vlerësoj se duhet kuptojmë që Open Data nuk është qëllimi. Open Data është mjeti për të realizuar qëllimin. Prandaj, në koordinim të gjitha aktiviteteve tona të përbashkëta, besoj se jemi afër dhe pamë se mundësit dhe parakushtet janë për të kriju një ambient veprimeve të përbashkëta dhe të sinkronizume për gjitha vendet të rajonit.
Now, invite the Minister to say a few words. We are commenting on the conclusions of the conference experiences and looking forward as to what a regional dimension could do to help move the open government process along.
Faleminderit, po flas me që kemi në vete. Ajo që duket mua shumë e rëndësishme është, siç e u theksuar gjatë këtyre 2 viteve, është fakti që kemi të bëjmë një event rajonal. Dhe unë dëshiroj shumë fort që këtë event parë rajonal ta vazhdojnë në tutje, ta vazhdojnë në radhë të gjitha vendet e rajonit. Dhe duhet që të shkruhet në vijimësinë e procesit të Berlinit për rajonin, i cili u konkretizua me takimet e Berlinit dhe të Vjenës të krerëve të shteteve. Dhe për mua kjo është vetëm një hap i parë, është një iniciativë shumë e mirë, por është vetëm një hap i parë i cili do të konkretizohet duke ndërmarrë angazhime të përbashkëta në kuadër të OGP-s, të cilat pas punës intensive drititore të kësaj konference do të konkretizohen dhe do të propozohen ministrave homologë të rajonit në mënyrë që të marrim pra një angazhim të përbashkët. Gjë e tjetër që mund të theksojmë këtu është që ashtu siç Europa ka një nga 7 projektet e veta prioritare, pra të Bashkimit Evropian, krijimin e një tregu unik digital dhe gjithë zhvillimin ekonomik që kjo ende mund të sjellë, pra gjithë ato energji që ende sot nuk janë mjaftësishmërisht të çliruara për shkak të copëzimit ende në kuadër legislativ, ende në mënyrën se si aplikohet tregu digital në Europë, pra në vendet e Bashkimit Evropian. Ashtu dhe ne, pa pritur që të jemi pjesë e plot e Bashkimit Evropian në të gjitha aspektet, fare mirë për sa i përket agendës digitale, kemi mundësinë që të ecim me të njëjtin hap dhe për këtë arsye zëvendës presidenti i Bashkimit Evropian i Komisionit Evropian që është i ngarkuar me tregun unik digital, zoti Ansip, që ka qenë me kryeministri i Estonisë, Estonia, vendi nga ndoshta më të zhvilluarit në Europë në pikpamje të shërbimeve digjitale, ka thirrur një takim të posaçëm me vendet e Bashkimit Evropian, por edhe me vendet që aspirojnë të jenë anëtar të Bashkimit Evropian, dhe duke na bërë të gjithë pjesë të kësaj iniciative, sigurisht që në këtë fushë mund të ecim shumë më shpejt sesa në fusha të tjera që ku sigurisht procesi i antarësimit do të kërkojë kohën e vet. Pra ky do të ishte për mua mesazhi dhe mendoj që
edhe njëherë ky zhvillim një hapëparë dhe shpresoj që vendet të tjera dhe shoqëria civile në vende të tjera dhe qeverisë në vende të tjera ta vazhdojnë nismën me rigjimin.
Thank you. If I could pass the floor on to Mr. Galandelic, Jose.
Thank you very much. And of course, I would like first of all reiterate and thank the delegation of the European Union, because the representative of the European Union fully supported the whole initiative, the whole process of OGP, and for us, for Bosnia and Herzegovina, good neighborly relations and regional cooperation are among priorities of our foreign policy. So our country is committed to constant improvement of mutual relations in the region of the Balkans. And Western Balkan countries share at the levels both government and citizens an overall commitment to European Union accession, but face a long road in the transformation towards European Union membership. So, with the clear European perspective set out for the Western Balkans, the citizens in the region expect better socio-economic conditions, strengthened rule of law and accountability, improved connections inside their countries as well as with their neighbors and to the whole European Union. I would like to add that regional cooperation seems to always give added quality to implementing commitments from the initiatives. So, through these 2 days conference, we all engaged in an open and constructive dialogue about the core values, the challenges and the success of the OGP initiative in the Western Balkan region. We see that the open government dialogue in the region can be possible. It could be possible through the genuine partnering of civil society organizations and the support of the creation of the Western Balkan countries' government. And it is actually a tool to help us all, be in the region, Bosnia and Herzegovina, with other countries in the region who share common values, but also we can help each other and to see what we need to do, what are our objectives or failures, and how we can help each other. So we see this regional cooperation as a very important tool for the cooperation and integration of the implement of our obligation we have regarding the OGP project.
Thank you. Thank you. And next for Mr. Srđan Kostović from Montenegro.
Thank you. If I'm going to make a joke, I'll say that I'm very jealous because this country is Tirana. I think that it's saying that I say nothing, but I will add something. This region is characterized by the wars, by the unmatched events in the past 2 years. Even we go invent a new word of balkanization. Now, this process is going to be approved. That process of balkanization is not irreversible. We can go to another direction. So what is going to happen? Unfortunately, there are some problems between several Balkan countries. On the other side, we have a situation that cooperation in civil society, in some cases, is much more better than cooperation between governments. So OGP could be a tool for even help governments. On the other side, it will help us, all of us, in those countries, because, frankly, we would have the same problems. And OGP could be proof that we have same problems, and we can cooperate much more better than in some distant countries. Finally, some of those countries, as I'm not going to enter in politics, same language or 100% understandable languages. That is another plus, that is another advantage. Finally, if I'm going to conclude, I will say that we do not have any single obstacle in this process in OGP. Maybe government, doing politics, would have some obstacles doing legal business, but we do not here in OGP. So I'm really very happy being here, really very happy because somebody organized this. This is very important. And I think that for all of us, most daunting task will be now not to leave this process being that. Please proceed with this, try to exchange information, try to exchange ideas, try to organize another similar event as soon as possible. That would be something that maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think I'm not that agree. Maybe that could even help some political issues in our countries. Because, for example, if one country and another country has the same problem in daily life, meaning in opening information or in whatever, that would really help people in the neighboring country understand that their neighbors are not their enemies, that they have the same problems, that their government, their civil society are using the same measures to try to solve it, etc. So I think that in this process that began here in Tirana, we can really not just do something very good for OGP, but even for the whole region, if I'm not wrong.
Thank you for your very optimistic view, but I wanted to add as a little joke back to you, jealousy is a very difficult emotion, and perhaps a constructive way to get over your jealousy would be to organize the next forum. Now I'd like to pass the floor to our representative from Georgia, and I would ask for some observations about how participating in this conference and seeing the regional focus of the Balkans, how that could contribute to the work you're doing.
Thank you so much for inviting us from the EU. It was interesting, and I'm very happy about cooperation of the states together and standing together for the OGP commitments, and wish you all the luck about the Georgia. Told some of our guests yesterday that I am to repeat some of the remarks. I would like to know you about the Georgia OGP currently. The OGP currently in Georgia is like a brand, and all the government and civil societies we cooperate together. We are elaborating our action plans together, and we are more than happy to do all the things undertaken by OGP for everyday life, both civil society and Georgia. The most meaningful achievements we have nowadays is coordination with civil society, that we are drafting these action plans together. And monitoring of this action plan, which is carried out currently. It is also meaningful that the current action plan of Georgia is not repeating all the older commitments, and we are trying to put exclusive new commitments. It's not working, yeah? We're trying every time to put new exclusive commitments for OGP, and we're not trying to repeat all the old commitments or the commitments we have taken for other partnerships or the organizations we are involved. The main challenges we face today is we're trying to create peer strategy for the OGP to make sure that all the government agencies as well as civil societies who are not yet involved to be informed that what is going in the country, what are our commitments and the plans. Additionally, we wish to respond all the 5 challenges in the next action plan and involve private sector also in the national action plan. Also, we have problems to find donors and resources. are the main challenges in Georgia nowadays. And on the other side, we wish to have the civil society who is trying to elaborate all the content we are doing, not just indicating what to do. And we have discussed these things yesterday. It was interesting to participate in your event. Now I'm aware what's going around in these states about OGP and what is the current situation in your states. Broadly speaking, Georgia is successfully performing its obligations undertaken by open government partnership, but also we face the problems you are facing nowadays. We went through all these problems the past years and we managed to solve, I think, successfully. Seems that we are on the next step now to maintain this success and improve. Of course, we'll be more than happy to share this experience with you anytime. Thank you for inviting us once again and wish you all the success, all these Balkans Westerns stay together for the community of government.
Thank you very much. I would like to now pose a question to the panel. In his closing remarks, Mr. Bertolini from the EU referred to a concern that perhaps opening so many forums of dialogue, opening so many activities could lead to a bit of fatigue and a concern that we are more form over substance. We have the commitments that were laid out. My question to you is, how do you think we can make a Western Balkan dialogue on OGP issues a source of momentum and not another victim of reform fatigue? Would anyone care to respond?
Në Balkan njerëzit nuk lodhen asnjëherë. Dhe e mira është që gjithë atë energji pafund që kemi ta kanalizojmë në gjërat e duhura dhe për të ecur përpara. Kështu që unë nuk kam asnjë droje se mund të lodhemi nga dialogu. Dialogu na ka munguar për 10 vjet. Europa për të ndërtuar ka patur nevojë për shumë dialog, për shumë shkëmbime, për shumë hapje. Nuk kemi asnjë mundësi që të lodhemi nga dialogu, do thoja. Patjetër që angazhimet duhet të jenë konkrete dhe këtë të gjithë ne të angazhuar politikisht e ndjejmë dita ditës sepse duhet të përgjigjemi kërkesave të qytetarëve. Dhe paralelisht me angazhimet tona që i marrim sidoqoftë karshi qytetarëve tanë, të ndërlidhim këto në nivel rajonal, nuk mund dhe se të na ndihmojë. Që kjo do të ishte përmbledhja që do bëja.
Those who shows fatigue could work something else, of course. Yeah, I see things from the other side. Our government and our ministry is working very, very tough job. I suppose that as my colleague in the region, public administration reform, and it is a very, very difficult and unpopular job. And of course, government is as a complicated mechanism is very slow, very weak in some areas, and helps of the NGO in that process, not only making and adopting and drafting law, and other areas is very good support for us and very good help. And I can say that I see that in all NGOs which is included in our projects and our processes, their help is very necessary. From our side, I can say that fatigue would be more realistic than from the other side. I see energy from this. I speak about the NGOs which is working bit. And that energy helps us to rebuild our system and our society.
Thank you very much. I just would like to make a comment regarding the fatigue in our activities. Several years ago, one of my previous Minister of Foreign Affairs had a bilateral meeting with other Minister of Foreign Affairs of one Western European country. And my minister said, you know, our institution building process goes very slow, and you know, but we expect that it will be better, and we are on path to the European Union, etc., etc. And another Minister of Foreign Affairs said, oh yeah, but we built our country and our institutions more than 250 years. So it means that we build institutions, we build our society constantly. It is not something we have to do and stop after that. It's a continuous process. So that this is how we understand this process.
So we're in this for a very long time. No room for fatigue. Please, Delegation.
Natyrisht konsideroj se proceset e diskutimeve, nxjerrjes në debat, çështjeve dhe objektivave që mbajnë para vetes, gjithsesi janë një mundësi për një progres dhe realizim të qëllimit. Fundja vetë Bashkimi Evropian është një produkt i dialogut gjatë dhe diskutimit deri në krijimin e një unionit të tillë. Dhe Ballkani Perëndimor dhe shtetet tona të rajonit që shpresojmë që t'i bashkohemi familjes evropiane, besoj se me këtë formë dialogu, me këtë mundësi diskutimesh, sensibilizojmë në një mos për veprimet tona, aq më tepër kur flasim për nisma që mund të jenë pak të njohura për qytetarët, siç është OGP-ja, dhe vërtet të jemi pjesë e përbashkët e një realizimit një objektive bashkë me qytetarët, shoqërinë civile dhe përfaqësues të institucioneve. Prandaj konsideroj se ne po bëjmë detyrën, po bëjmë punën tonë që do të jetë vërtet një objektive përbashkët për realizimin e një qëllimi përbashkët suksesshëm.
I am not familiar with details of the countries in the region, but maybe example of Montenegro is an answer to the question. Some year and a half ago, there were really very deep trenches between government and the civil society on the other side. What is all this about is to try to make peace. Now I'm really absolutely sure that in OGP in Montenegro, we found natural ways, other possibilities of cooperation. I even didn't know that those areas existed some year ago. So the most important question is, as I see this process, are we in government, are we ready, and are we competent enough to recognize civil society, organization, personalities that are really good enough, that can help all those processes. Other side, that is the same task, but civil society. Are they ready to recognize inside establishment subjects that are ready for cooperation, that could push the process as far as quick as possible? So in that case, I'm not afraid that we will be something like boring, lose momentum, etc., and all of this that Mr. Bertolini mentioned. I think that there are really a lot of areas for cooperation, even in the areas that are now difficult for us to understand, to see those areas. So during that process, if we are doing good enough, we'll, I think, day by day, we will find another
I'm afraid one of our panelists is on his way out. He has transport waiting. Thank you very much. I would still like to keep the rest of you. Thank you. I would still like to keep the rest of you for one round of questions and then perhaps something from the audience. My next question is the commitments that were read out before our panel started. My own experience on both sides of the divide of being in government and being in civil society sector means when I read a list of commitments like this, I immediately evaluate what is in there that is concrete and is going to be painful to implement. And reading these commitments, it is a lot about common values, a lot about the openness and the principles of how to work. But there are a few things in there that to implement require very, very concrete actions. And one of those is common standards for open data. Common standards not only for the data that you use in your country as you make it open, but is there scope for common standards across the region so that the people eventually using this data could create economic value for the region as a whole, larger markets, larger scope for innovation. Do you think this is something that would be possible to agree to a common Western Balkan standard, not just a common Albanian standard or a common Montenegro standard? Is there scope for this type of very precise cooperation?
Në fushën e shoqërisë digjitale dhe ekonomisë digjitale, ne kemi fatin që të ecim me gjërat më të reja që ndodhin. Në këtë kuptim është relativisht e thjeshtë për ne sepse përqafojmë me njëherë direktivat dhe kuadrin ligjor të Bashkimit Evropian. Nuk është një lloj në fushat të tjera, më tradicionale, ku pesha e trashëgimisë ligjore, ekonomike është e ndryshme. Ndërsa në këtë fushë, në të paktën në Shqipëri ne kemi kuadrin ligjor pothuajse mbi 90% të parafuar me kuadrin ligjor evropian. Kështu që dhe në fushën e të dhënave të hapura, nuk na ngeli gjë tjetër veç të përqafojmë standardet evropiane që vendosen hap pas hapi dhe të ecim në një hap rretës.
Konsideroj se dhënat e hapura dhe aq më tepër në ditët e sotshme që elementi kryesor për të kriju mundësi e ordhimit dhënave, hapjes dhënave është thuja se 100% është teknologjia. Dhe edhe rregullat e teknologjisë, edhe mundësitë e teknologjisë tani krijojnë mundësi të ndërveprimit dhënave edhe standardizimit të kritereve dhe standardit të publikimit të dhënave. Në një mos ekzistojnë një varg standardës edhe të Bashkimit Evropian dhe një element i rëndësishëm është korniza e interoperabilitetit si regulative ndërveprimit të sistemeve që një element i tillë po të aplikohej në të gjitha vendet e rajonit dhe të krijohen sisteme dhe platforma standarde unike, realisht është më së domosdoshëm është që në një farë mënyre mundësitë ekzistuese të njërit vend të shfrytëzohen nga të gjitha vendet tjera. Dhe një praktik unike të shfrytëzohet për të gjitha vendet e rajonit. Natyrisht kjo do realizohet vetëm duke respektuar standarde unike. Gjë që është pa diskutim, është një nevojë nëse synojmë që të jemi pjesë e nismave dhe projekteve të përbashkëta. Prandaj pyetja juaj ishte konsideroj jashtëzakonisht të qelluar dhe diskutimi në këtë drejtim besoj se është më së domosdoshëm, me qenë se tani jemi në fazën e ndërtimit të sistemeve dhe platformave për publikim dhe shpërndarje të dhënave dhe publikimin e tyre. që nga e para të fillojmë me standardet dhe politikat e përbashkëta unike, sidomos vendet e reja.
Would anyone else like to comment?
Well, I would not to agree with colleagues' excellent question. I'm just thinking about that. Probably European standards are one part very important to that. But I think that if we have a successful initiative toward business community, in that case it would be a much quicker process. Because if there are some business interests that use that open data, there was a really excellent presentation by Mrs. Cobb yesterday what happened in Britain. So if we succeed in that way, it will be much more easy for all of us to do that. But for me, this is really very, very interesting question. I'm going to take a little bit to portals of other countries to see what's going on there. Thankfully, all of us less known in the beginning. A lot of jobs.
Now, I cannot recognize the intention. Why did you pose this question? What I can say is that Bosnia-Herzegovina, after SSP, is actually framework, legal framework of Bosnia-Herzegovina is in accordance with EU directives and the EU legal framework, so especially after SSP. So that will be my answer now. But maybe this is an interesting question.
Thank you. I was informed a moment ago that we have reached our time limit. I would like to thank you and maybe close with a little bit about my intent in asking these questions. And part of the intent was to gauge the feeling of the government representatives toward future regional cooperation. And for me, the real feeling is, it comes to find out whether you're interested and willing to sit down again. And I understand we have a possible host at the end of the panel over there. And also to gauge whether the commitments you are making nationally, whether there is scope for making something of a commitment together to do something that involves and engages everyone. Because right now we are sharing national commitments. There's a question of, is there a future joint commitment that could be made under the open government umbrella? But I thank you for your interest. I thank you for the opportunity for interaction. And I wish us all well, and hopefully we will meet again at another forum like this in the near future.